Like email is a massively personal perspective on like what works, what doesn't work. You know, how can you improve it? Is it personalized? Is it relevant? Should it be triggered? How many parts in the sequence? Should you bump? Should you do the follow-up? It's long, right? But so when I was thinking about preparing for this, I was a little bit hesitant on even like bringing this topic, because like you're all going to have different variations. I mean, the key is ultimately test, and A/B test. You know, so multiple variants, and you know, you've got to see what works within your team. But there are a few variables that I think you can use, similar to the kind of cold call structure. So if I start, and by the way, I'll send over like this template.
Also, the subject line is really important.
100%. Subject lines, again, you could spend a whole day on that. All right, so I can tell you a couple of things you can drop immediately. Asking how someone is when you've never met them or emailed them before is just a complete and utter waste of time. Yeah.
Not asking, or asking.
Asking, you know, do not ask that question, right? The other one is, I hope you're well. Like, it literally adds zero value. So like the first hook of the line is a observation. It looks like you've just hired 10 people into your e-commerce department. It looks like you've just acquired XYZ company. It looks like you've just been promoted into your next role. It looks like your CEO just went on TV and said this, right? It's just spelling out what your observation is about them as an individual, their company, or their product. Like, that is the first line of the personalization. Observing something that you have identified in your research. So the next part is what statement, and this literally, by the way, the email I'm literally going by is 5 lines. The framework is 5 lines. So this is first line, this is second line. Statement of fact about them. So look, what is an undisputable fact that relates to their industry or relates to them? So for example, a fact might be, and you could say something like, as you're aware, inflation is X% right now. Or as you're aware, the value of the dollar against the pound is this. Or as you're aware, the UK economy is grown by 2%. Like, something undisputable that relates to your like industry, that you know that they can't dispute. Does that make sense? Right? It's like, it's not personal to them, it's an industry statement of fact that means that you know what you're talking about and you're an expert in your field. Make sense? Okay, cool. Okay, so the third line is the implication of not acting on the information that you're sharing. So for example, if you don't take action to change, you're fucked, basically, right? What does your product or service solve that if by not using it, their company's challenged, in trouble, having problems, you know, it's going to impact their growth. So for example, what could be one for sales confidence that we use? Okay, so a statement of fact would be based on research, so you might use that line, based on research from Gartner, 53% of salespeople are not achieving their sales targets in 2023. Like, you know, it's undisputable statement, data from a relevant source. The implication of unperforming salespeople is that you will miss your target growth rate by X%. So like, everyone here should have some tangible impact, and also you might need to figure this out, but all your products should have some tangible value add to a business that you're selling to. Like, so what is the implication? Again, you might need to take this away and think about it. What is the implication of them not acting on the statement of fact that you've expressed in the email? Basically, if you don't do anything, this could be a problem for your organization and cause you a challenge. Any questions on that? Okay.
You mean to mention with what we can have any issue, and later just to shortly to give them, briefly to give
yeah, so right now,
think about what you can do.
Yeah, well this is it. Well, right now we haven't actually said what we do, have we? Right? We've said something personal that related to them as an individual at their stage of growth in their company. We've given them an industry statement of fact, undisputable. There's an implication of not taking action because of this scenario that you've painted as a result of like the industry news. And it's now that you put your value prop and social proof. So it's the fourth line of the email. There's gaps in this email. It's short. It's not long-winded. You know, it's readable on a mobile. It has an effective subject. Like, these are kind of like the obvious steps. But it's at this point, what you're trying to do is get them to read each step, right? So, okay, they said something personal. I want to know what this guy's on about. That's completely true. Like, they're on the right lines here. This is a statement of fact. Like, I can't agree with that. I want to know more. I wasn't thinking like that though. If there's an implication if I don't take action here, like, that's a good point that person's made. Now that at that point you're curious, you're like, what do they do? Then you've got your one-liner on your value prop. How you help companies with XYZ, and we work with XYZ social proof companies. Or you might just have a line from a case study. We've helped company X deliver Y in your industry. And then the fifth thing is the call to action. And if I'm honest, this is where I think, again, look, all of this is up for discussion, debate. I'm just giving something you can rethink about how you're sending emails and reference and challenge and explore. But really, those lines that are, here's my Calendly link, like book a time in, is just if people do it and good for you and it's working, great. Do they do it?
Yeah.
Cool. I've never seen it work for me. No one's ever booked a call in my calendar. So it doesn't work for me. So I typically don't recommend it. But if it's working for you, great. The other thing is if you just ask for a call straight away, again, that works a lot of the time, but a lot of the times it doesn't work. So there is a close call to action that is a softer one. Would you like to learn more? Is this something that you would like to explore? Can I send you a video with more details? Can I follow up and let you know how we can help you in this area? Is this worth chatting about? Did I miss the mark? Have I completely got off the wrong foot with this message? Like, what I'm saying is there are alternative lines, you can just Google or LinkedIn search this, right? Call to actions that aren't necessarily asking for the meeting, and I just think you should test it. Some are going to work more often, some are going to land others. So, like, you know, that's a pure cold template that I've seen work effectively when you're thinking about structuring your email. And the next thing is, how do you use this in a combination of activities? So how many of you, and put your hand straight up, understand the concept of multi-threading?